On today's show, Brady Tkachuk has broken his silence for the first time since requesting a trade out of Ottawa.
And we know the 9th overall pick is in play, but who's worth trading it for?
I'm Jake Sanderson.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. Today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's ODOO.com/lockedon. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd, and Pillsy, Brady Tkachuk has been introduced as a member of the Florida Panthers, and I'm surprised his nose didn't grow 10 feet long during his statement.
Oh, man, this has been a terrible day, Ross, because leading up to this, it's like, okay, you're hearing about it. You know the trade is real, but seeing him in Florida Panthers jersey on that podium talking, that made it fully real. Like, I think we talked about the stages of grief, Ross. I was still in the denial phase. Now I can't be in that phase anymore. It's real and just honestly gross. Like it's gross seeing him in a Panthers jersey.
And it's gross the way he's discussing it. Basically like, oh, whoops, it was just time to move on. That's all. No responsibility taken as the captain and leader of the Ottawa Senators going to a division rival. And oh my goodness, how about the one where he said, I would have come here even if my brother wasn't here.
Then why didn't you go to other teams where your brother wasn't?
Oh my God, just the biggest load of crap. What I will say about Brady, or should we call him Trady Tkachuk? Guy, get me out of here, Trady. He always says the right thing. But you can tell that sometimes he doesn't even believe it.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that as those words were coming out of his mouth that he thought anyone with a non-negative IQ would be able to just call his bluff. Like, come on, buddy. At least shoot it to us straight on the way out.
Yeah, you would think, Ross, now that it's done and it's a clean cut, that I don't want to say he would have the confidence to do it, but you think he would just be straight up now, like leading into it and before you get the being coy and trying to say the right thing. But it's over now. You've forced your way out. Just be real now. It doesn't feel authentic. And just his vibe when talking about it. And now he's done the full media car wash. Obviously the Wingmen podcast, I tuned in my first episode ever, got 13 minutes in. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It's what you've been saying this, Ross, but it's crazy. Like Matthew Tkachuk opens the podcast being like, oh, Brady should probably tell you about this. And then Matthew goes on to say, Brady's experience.
Yeah, he speaks for him all the time. Dude, they were on Pat McAfee's show, probably the biggest show daytime on TV in US on ESPN. And they bring them both on. Welcome, Brady and Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew, how do you feel about having Brady there?
Yeah.
Well, Brady should probably tell you, but I'm actually going to tell you because Brady can't speak for himself, apparently. And Brady saying all the distractions over the time. Buddy, the distractions was your dad and your brother laughing at you for being in Ottawa. Those are the distractions. Yeah. So many of them were self-created that it's laughable on the way out saying, oh, yeah, there were distractions. From who? From who, fella? From who?
And I mean, doing that podcast episode when the Sens were in Florida, surrounded by Florida Panthers memorabilia, when that's literally your opponent. Like you're battling them. The Senators at that time needed those points to stay in the playoff race. Things were looking terrible. We were in the state of Florida when that happened, and that was a low point. The Senators playoffs odds dropped to like 40%, and you're here yucking it up in the Florida Panthers team shop with your opponent.
Well, not only that, then the game happens and his 20-year-old rookie gets a concussion and he does absolutely nothing about it. A week after on his podcast saying that would never happen in our building, in our organization. Speaking of nobody defending Austin Matthews after he got knee on knee. And then it didn't just happen there. It also happened with Thomas Chabot when he got slashed by his U.S. teammate with the gold medal winning team, JT Miller. No response there. And in the playoffs, another one of his U.S. teammates, this time on his side, getting hit, Jake Sanderson, in the playoffs, and he doesn't do a damn thing about it. So spare me the speeches, spare me the thank you, Ottawa. I'm just not buying it. And you know what? He's going to lean into being a villain eventually because he's never going to be.
He has to. Yeah.
It's the only way for him to go about it. And if I was a player, I've been thinking about this. Like, how are the Senators players feeling about this? And the word that keeps coming back is betrayal. Like, they've been following this guy since day one for many of them when they were there. Tim Stützle is the guy that stands out the most. Super competitive kid and a guy who has been literally looking up to Brady Tkachuk his whole career. They, I'm sure, had conversations at the start. How fun would it be to win together? How fun would it be to win here? And he just pulled the chute on them. So I'm almost done giving that train of thought because we do have lots to get to in terms of what the heck Ottawa is going to do in the next 3 days. The draft coming up on Friday. And Ottawa, they need two forwards for sure. Probably a defenseman it looks like they're trying to get as well. And their most valuable assets, for all intents and purposes, expire in 3 days because once the draft happens, it's going to be a lot different of a landscape to trade the prospects that have already been picked versus them giving a pick to a team where they can do what they want with it.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that next segment. But I watched the Florida Panthers press conference too, and Ross, one of the questions was, when you were at Matthew Tkachuk's Stanley Cup playoff games and at his cup party, like what were you envisioning, et cetera? I'm paraphrasing. And like, if you're Brady and then you're thinking about that, his whole thing was, and he told us this, Ross, I can't wait to have my own Stanley Cup party and for Matthew to be invited to mine. Now, your Stanley Cup party is Matthew's Stanley Cup party that you're invited to if it happens, obviously. Like, you've taken that moment away from yourself, and you've supported Matthew this whole time, and now you're supporting him even more by joining his team and being in his shadow. And what did Matthew do to support you? Goes on a flight for your playoff game to a road game, sits in the rich people's seats, and then leaves right away. You were there for him in all the moments. You embraced it. You were always there for him, and that's the support you got in return. I know, Ross, the kid thing, but if you're going to do it, then go to a home game. Be there. Be supporting him properly. And I don't know. Like,
hey, I went to your wedding right after my kid was born.
Exactly. You made it happen. You didn't come halfway or to my reception or the brunch the day after. You were there for the actual moment at the right spot at the right time, and I respect that. It means a lot to me. So that's, I don't know, if you're Brady, like, how do you feel good about the path that you've now just carved for yourself when
little brother,
you could have been your own man, your own path? And I know we're going on about this, and we're going to move on from this because I will say, though, but
people in the comments saying sour grapes, no duh.
Yeah, I love those comments. What are we supposed to be stoked about this? Like, obviously we're pissed off. Obviously we're sour about it. And being like, oh wow, you had so much nice things to say about Brady when he was on your team, but he leaves and now you hate him.
No way.
Yeah, of course. Like, what? That's so crazy to think that there would be any other reaction. Look at how the reaction from fan bases are any other time this has happened. And a lot of the time, like a similar scenario would be John Tavares and the Islanders, because that's your captain. Like, Mitch Marner was not the Leafs captain. So like, and just there's so much more layers that people that aren't Ottawa Senators fans are connected to it. Probably don't fully understand, and that's fine. But
I always come back to just always saying the right thing, and then at the first possible time to do the wrong thing, the thing that everyone accused you of wanting to do, that's your decision.
Yeah.
Liar, traitor, quitter, they all work. But you know what Ottawa has in response? It's only the third time in NHL history that a player has been traded for 3 first-round picks, and that's according to our,
and they got a second on top of that too.
Over on Instagram, Primetime Sens. Can you name the only 2 other trades that included 3 first-round picks?
Scouts Honor, I know one of them. One of them is Joe Nieuwendyk, right?
No.
Oh, I thought it was a deal involving Dallas in the 90s, in the early 90s. I thought it was Joe Nunbeck.
Was it Glenn Wesley?
Oh, okay, then it was Glenn Wesley.
Yes, Glenn Wesley in 1994.
Scout's honor, I thought I knew it.
Yeah, exactly. You just got kicked out of Boy Scouts there, Pills. The other one was Wayne Gretzky in 1988.
Yeah. So we needed to do this, Ross, because it's the first day he's introduced in Florida and it's real. We're gonna move on from this.
Cathartic, they call it. Word of the day?
Yeah, I think that is the correct word.
Cathartic describes an experience, activity, or expression that provides emotional relief by allowing you to release pent-up, strong, or repressed emotions. Cathartic.
Yep, nailed it. Well done.
Thank you.
But now it's time to move forward. In the rest of the show, our next segment is who is worth 9th overall, and the third segment, moving forward for the franchise, who should the Sens' next captain be?
And we have a breaking news trade, a player we've talked about on this show, but he's not coming to Ottawa. Pillsy, you looked?
I hit Twitter, but I didn't look.
Did you actually? You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Real Scout's honor.
We'll say it now. Simon Nemec to the Calgary Flames. Don't know the return.
Okay. That's okay.
No, it's fine. It's a defenseman, but it's a guy. We have mentioned him on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying that, oh no, Ottawa's plans are all thrown off, but trades are happening around the league. Ottawa's got the 9th overall pick, and it is in play. But of all the trade targets that we've talked about on this show and trade targets that we've discussed internally about trying to replace the forward for Brady Tkachuk, which one of those ones are actually worth the 9th overall pick? We'll give you our list next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. Workplace chaos can show up fast. The problem is that finding the right candidate can take a lot more time than businesses can afford. That's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach candidates who actually fit what you're looking for based on skills, experience, and location. Finding the right person can make all the difference, whether it's building a business or building a winning team. The Ottawa Senators, they're looking for a candidate that can fit what they need in their period of workplace chaos right now. And the same can be said for businesses around the world. And that's where Indeed Sponsored Jobs comes in, helping connect organizations with candidates who are the right fit from the start. We know how important that is. So spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes, less stress, less time, and more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Locked On Senators podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Hims. ED is way more common than most guys think, and millions of men deal with it at some point. Hims offers a simple, convenient way to take care of your health by connecting you with licensed healthcare providers online and giving you access to personalized treatment options from the comfort of your home. That means no awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just a straightforward process designed to make getting care easier. Taking care of yourself shouldn't feel complicated, and Hims makes the process private and easy to navigate. It's healthcare built around your schedule and comfort. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/lockedonnhl. That's hims.com/lockedonnhl for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedonnhl. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark of Viatris Specialty LLC. Hims is not affiliated with or is endorsed by Viatris. Welcome back, Locked On Senators, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Local experts on the biggest stories 5 days a week. We do have our mock draft available on YouTube. Very interesting for Ottawa now, withholding 3 first-round picks. You can find that exclusively on YouTube. Please like and subscribe and let that thing play all the way through. Really does help the show grow. We appreciate all the support here this week on Locked On Senators. Misery loves company, and so do support groups. And that's what it feels like we are right now after the shocking trade of Brady Tkachuk. But in return, the Senators did get 3 first-round picks, including 2 this year, one of them being the 9th overall selection, Pilsy. That pick has teeth. It has value, but you can't just give it away. How high of a bar are you setting if you're Steve Stais for what you're looking for that pick?
There's 3 pieces of criteria in my mind for 9th overall, Ross. First, it's got to be a top 6 winger. That's where the conversation starts. Second, for me, and I hope Steve Stais too, it's got to be a top 6 winger with term. None of this RFA, none of this comes with an extension. No, you're already signed long term. We don't have to worry about that. And then third is got to be able to score goals. For me, those are the top 3 priorities when it comes to what you're going to do with 9th overall.
Yeah, you can't just give it away. And that's why we've set an extremely high bar on the list that we've got here. And if we miss anybody that you think deserves to be in this conversation, you can let us know in the comments. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to get more into the players who we like as trade targets, but we don't think are worth the 9th overall pick. That's where you can bundle up 25th overall, maybe Florida's 2029 first round pick, or other assets that you have already, but just 9th overall would be too rich for that kind of deal. The one player, and again, he'd have to sign an extension here, but you'd be willing to give up 9th overall and more, substantially more, would be Jason Robertson. We have to lead with that because, again, the fit is too perfect for him to be Tim Stützle's left winger on the top line. So that's a name we just want to get out there as maybe more unlikely, but one where you'd be willing to part with 9th overall and more. Couple players, one of them going into their last year of his contract and an RFA afterwards. The other one is an RFA without a contract. So this tier of guys who I think would be great players to acquire for the 9th overall pick would have to come with extensions. Even the guy with a year left. I need at least a 3 or 4 year extension to his contract, but it's a new name coming up in trade bait boards, and that's Kirill Marchenko out of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Admittedly, a player we didn't know as much about as some of the other guys that we've talked about on this show, Pilsy, but you look at the counting stats, one, but also his NHL edge stats, because we want a speedy winger. This guy is sneaky, one of the fastest players in the league.
Yeah, very good player. Someone I'm not that familiar with, admittedly, Ross, but for me, lower on my list because he's got 1 year left and then as an RFA, and this is going to be a new age contract. He's going to be looking to make an absolute haul. He's looking for the bag, and I don't blame him. For me, I'm prioritizing different players that are already signed to long-term deals. So great player, maybe even a better player than some other guys on the list. But for me, the circumstances of the contract might even be more important than how good the player is, honestly.
But even if a contract extension is reached, you're still out?
Because it's going to be a new... I'm not out, but I'm lower because that new contract is going to be massive.
Yep, it will be. And so will the next contract for Pavel Dorofeyev, who's an RFA coming off a 2-year deal making 1.85, where he averaged 37 goals in each of the last 2 seasons. I mean, need I say more than 37 goals, Pilsy? Like,
yeah, again, unreal, great player, but that contract is going to be huge. When does he become UFA?
He has 12 playoff goals this year.
Yeah. When's he UFA?
I believe in 2 years.
Yeah, I think he's going to be looking just to get to UFA. I don't think he's going to sign a long-term deal.
Yeah, Dorofeyev coming off. He is a UFA in 2028. Yes, 2 years from now. So same year as Brady Tkachuk will be UFAs together, but I understand that those are different circumstances. 2 players that we have talked about substantially on this show that I believe are worth the 9th overall pick. I'll start with my guy, and that's Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett has so much speed There's maybe a little bit of inconsistency to his game, holding him back from elite counting stats, but he's a 4-time 20-plus goal scorer, scored 28 goals twice, 27 another year. And again, just the fit with Timmy that we're trying to prioritize here would be unbelievable.
Yeah, Owen Tippett's my top target, Ross. The speed is absolutely insane. I've got it up here in the regular season last year. His speed, max speed in the 99th percentile. 22 plus mile per hour bursts, 99th percentile. 20 to 22 mile per hour bursts in the 99th percentile. And then 18 to 20 mile per hour bursts in the 93rd percentile. Like, this is literally one of the fastest, best skating players in the game. And here's what I like, Ross, is he signed 8 years at $6.2 million. He's got
6 left.
6 left. Yeah. Now, important to note, because this is a part of it too, no trade clauses. He is in the first year of his no trade clause, which lasts 3 more years after this, so 4 total, where he has a 10-team no trade list. So that's something to note, but like, at least it's a 10-team list. It's not going to handcuff you the way we've seen other no team trade law or no trade clauses handcuff. So for me, this is the top target, and I would definitely be willing to move 9th overall for Owen Tippett.
This one, I think there's some discussion both ways, but Alexis Lafreniere, he's kind of been pigeonholed because he was a first overall pick that he hasn't lived up to expectation, but he's a consistent 55-plus point guy in a horrible situation in New York. I think I would like a sweetener on the Rangers side of things if you are trading 9th overall for Lafreniere, but I see the skeleton of a trade using 9th overall for Lafreniere.
Yeah, me too. Now, obviously, doesn't have that speed that Owen Tippett has, but by no means is he a slow player. He's scored 20 goals twice in his career. I think this year, like, getting 57 points on that New York Rangers team is pretty solid. I think you put him with Timmy, and he's much closer to the 65, 75 point range. And I think there's a more well-rounded player there than what we've seen from him in his short career. And he's got, 7 more years left on his deal at 7.45.
Yeah.
So, and his no trade clause doesn't kick in until 2029. And then he's got 3 years of it, and it's an 8-team no trade list. So,
yeah,
these are the kinds of things that the Ottawa Senators need to be looking for. And I prioritize contract length, term, and what their no trade clauses are more than being willing to spend on guys that need contracts and admittedly are probably better players.
So let us know in the comments, who are we missing out of guys who you think would be worth the 9th overall pick? You might hear their name tomorrow on players that we are interested in, but don't want to give up the 9th overall pick for. On the other side, conversation that we're ready for now. It's been almost 48 hours since Brady Tkachuk was traded. Who will be the Ottawa Senators' next captain? We'll discuss next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. You got one app for accounting, another one for inventory, another one for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of just managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. I mean, look at the Carolina Hurricanes. That team has been put together so well, and they were able to win a championship. And it's the same for your business and organization. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's ODOO.com/lockedon.
Welcome back, Locked On Senators, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We've got all your draft coverage needs here on the channel, so make sure to like and subscribe. We will have on Monday morning, which, I mean, these players were thrown out for 32nd overall, but with how wide the range is, if Ottawa does keep 25th overall as well, you're going to want to hear our conversation with all the guests we had on the mock draft of who Ottawa could target late in the first round. That's, of course, before we learned that Ottawa had the 9th overall pick too. So we'll get into some of the options for that on Thursday or on Friday's show as well, because we do want to be prepared in the circumstance that Ottawa does keep that pick, although I think we're both in agreement it is unlikely. Pillsy, we also have the news coming out for the return on Nemec. They also added, New Jersey that was, Maxim Siplikov, and in return, they're getting 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and Etienne Morin, defensive prospect, left shot defenseman. Now, immediately I can already hear a couple Sens fans saying, wait, 2 firsts and a second? Like, that's barely less than Ottawa got for Brady Tkachuk. Now, the devil's in the details. The 2027 first-round pick belongs to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yep.
Likely going to be a late first-round pick. It's also, both these picks are top 10 protected. And the other one is a 2028 first-round pick that belong to the Colorado Avalanche. So these are 2 of the premier teams in the West. So you got to think those are going to be 2 late first rounders, but it's still a pretty damn big return for an RFA defenseman that hasn't really figured it out at the NHL level.
I think this is a good deal for both teams, Ross, and I'm going to be interested to see what New Jersey does, because I think, similar to Ottawa, they probably wanted to trade Nemec for NHL players in return, but just said, okay, let's just get assets and move on. And then maybe they try to flip those picks too. So interesting deal. And I think Calgary, they want to start getting some NHL talent. They want to be ready to enter that new arena with a bang. So yeah, I like this deal.
Yeah, and it's curious to see if that'll change how they attack the 6th overall pick, right? Because there's so many defensemen in that range. And now it feels like their young core on the back end is now Nemec and Zane Parekh. We kept saying, like, who's going to be the other guy with Parekh?
Yep.
Well, they're both righties, but it does kind of feel like they've got those 2 youngsters there. Do they now swing on some scoring upside at 6th overall? So it's going to be intriguing to see how the draft plays out. It's also going to be very interesting to learn who the next captain of the Ottawa Senators is going to be. Yesterday, I mentioned, like, the Ottawa Senators need to have a captain on day 1 of training camp next year. This is no phase where you have to figure it out along the way. There are candidates, Pillsy, not in order. We'll get to that shortly. But who are the candidates to be the next Sens captain?
In my mind, there's only 4 choices, and let me know if you agree or disagree, Ross. Again, not in order. Thomas Chabot, Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle, and Claude Giroux.
Oh, I was wondering who your 4th was. I don't know if you can give it to Claude just because it's such a small time, right? Like, and he's a guy who's signing 1-year deals. Do you want your captain to be a guy who's on 1-year deals every year?
Well, Ross, this can transition to my answer if you'd like.
Go ahead.
I think Claude Giroux should be the next captain of the Ottawa Senators.
Really? And your reasons are?
First, he's been a captain before. 8 years in Philadelphia, respected veteran player. I get what you're saying about the contract thing, but Ross, we've had captains that were signed to long-term deals and have term left on their deal. That means very little to me, unfortunately. And one of the main reasons, Ross, a lot of outside noise, a lot of distractions, the media in Ottawa, the fan base in Ottawa, whatever you want to say, Claude Giroux is going to hear none of that. None of that is going to affect him. None of that will change the way he approaches the game. None of that will change the way he is as a person. None of that will change how he talks to the team. None of that will affect Claude Giroux. And this is a guy that has chosen to be here. He wasn't drafted by the Ottawa Senators. He could have picked anywhere to go in free agency. He was a coveted guy.
Yeah, he got traded. Hey, he got traded to Florida, and he said, "Get me out of here. I got to go to Ottawa."
Exactly. So, and what you need is stability. I don't think you need to make your next stamping point being like, this young player or this player will be the next captain for the Ottawa Senators for a decade plus. You don't need to do that right now. You just need someone to come in, say, there's not going to be any bullshit with me. You know what you're getting with me, and I'm going to lead this team properly. We're not going to let outside factors dictate who we are. And I think no one would do that better than Claude Giroux. Francophone, so both sides of Ottawa Senators fan bases can kind of
hear from the captain.
And feel, hear from the captain first and feel like they're kind of represented, I guess, for lack of a better word. And look, Ross, Steve Staios' press conference, Claude Giroux's, he's here. He's working out. He doesn't have a contract, and he's here. So I know he's probably not going to sign a multi-year deal. Maybe we're just doing 1 year. But I truly believe...
You just picked that the next captain could sign anywhere in 5 days.
Our captain, who was had 2 years left on his deal, forced to trade.
Yeah.
So I believe that Claude Giroux will retire as an Ottawa Senator. I believe he'll re-up every single year doing 1 year deals. I'm not worried about that.
But how many more?
So, 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then at that point, a younger player on this team may be more ready or more suited to be the captain, because what a footstep, what shoes you have to fill if they go with, say, Tim Stützle or Jake Sanderson, and what pressure is put on you following Brady Tkachuk as the captain and with what just happened. I think it makes so much sense to let someone who's already been a leader, let someone who won't be fazed by the weight of being a captain, and someone that you're not sitting there being like, okay, we put the captain on them, they're signed, but are they going to force a trade soon? Are they going to feel like it's too much? Claude Giroux's that guy. And I believe that there's someone else that should be the captain for the Ottawa Senators for a long time, but I don't believe now is the time to do that.
That's really
I rest
interesting.
my case.
I did not think you were going to go there. I don't disagree with your reasoning. I just think that there are guys that are ready to be the captain of the Ottawa Senators. And it, to me, starts with the 2020 draft. And I haven't fully decided yet which one that I think I like to be the captain more between Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson. This is no disrespect, by the way, to Thomas Chabot. What a warrior he's been for the Ottawa Senators. Clearly, he loves the city too. He's a guy who spends a majority of his offseason in Ottawa as well. And I do like that. I think that the Senators need more of that, not guys who are leaving the week. Hey, by the way, Jake Sanderson's running a hockey camp this week in Ottawa. So he's a guy that spends at least part of his offseason in the nation's capital as well.
Should we just talk, because I think neither of us really are on the side of Thomas Chabot, but I can see the argument. Like, this is also the first player to truly commit to this franchise in this era. No one else was doing that. He signed a long-term deal. He's such a big part of the community. He's probably the most well-liked player in the locker room. Like, do you think that's fair to say?
Without being there, yeah, just the way everyone talks about him.
I
hear
think
all the team parties are always at his house. Like, he's a culture builder for sure.
Big time. He joined us for our 500th episode. It was awesome to have him on. You and him chatted at the gala. Like, he's a great human being.
I was just like, dude, nobody deserves playoffs more than you, man.
And I think in that room, he might be the front runner for who that room wants to be the next captain.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think like the two guys that I'm deciding between with Sanderson and Stützle have both been captains before at different stages, like World Juniors. I think it was the same World Junior where it was Timmy for Germany and it was Jake Sanderson for the USA. And the American thing doesn't bother me one bit. I know it's become a topic because of Brady, and basically half of Team USA's gold medal team is either in trade rumors or has already been traded. You can add Zach Werenski to the list there. And I like that with Werenski and Larkin, it's not leaving Canada, because then we don't have to get into all the BS surrounding the relations there, because we are not geopolitical experts or even geopolitical viewers. Don't care. And I like that Steve Staios said, I don't look at a player's passport before I acquire him. I look at the cut of their jib, to steal an old Newfoundlander saying. But like, I think both those guys are ready. Both those guys are clearly the two most talented players on the team. And I know some people don't care about that. but I do want my captain to be one of the best players on the team.
I could care less, honestly.
No, it matters to me.
You don't. I want him to be an impactful player for sure. Like I don't like. Wasn't it Florida that
Derek McKenzie?
Yeah, Derek McKenzie, a fourth liner, was their captain. Like, no, I'm not saying you do that, but you don't
Like
give
Adam
the
Lowry.
You don't give the.
Center.
But I don't care. He's a great leader. He
Yeah.
plays the game the right way. I don't care if it's the best player. That's not the approach for me at all. I just think, Ross, like, spoiler alert, Jake Sanderson is the player I was talking about. I think should be the captain of this team eventually and will be the captain for a long time. But what a spot to put him in. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, his teammate on Team USA, was the captain and just forced his way out. There's all this political noise that goes around it. And then you put the C on him and put a microphone in front of his face, and he's got to answer all that. And I know, very different type of dude than Brady Tkachuk, but I just feel like that's such an unfair position to put him in right now. And I do believe he should be the captain of this team. And Ross, when he was drafted, we had people, scouts and prospect analysts telling us this guy will lead an NHL team one day. And I believe he should. And I believe he will. But right now, for all the points I laid out, I just think it would be too much for Jake Sanderson to be put in this position. It would be unfair to him. And I think Claude Giroux could handle that spotlight and that weight for a couple of years much better than Jake Sanderson. And I just think, like, man, the way that would be Claude Giroux, the captain for a couple more years, finishes his career here honored properly. Like, I don't know. It just makes a lot of sense for me. And I know this is probably not the popular opinion, but I've thought a lot about this, and I kept coming back to that answer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, he's about to, if he does re-sign, go into his fifth season with the Senators, right? Like,
yeah, it's not like he's a new guy, Ross.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Dude, he's the only games he's missed is when he was told to take a rest at the end of the season. Like, this guy works out properly. Like, he's an example. He's a leader for all these guys. Like, and again, obviously not Jake Sanderson. Like, that guy's a physical specimen, and it's Timmy too, Shabbat also. But I want stability right now. I don't want to make a big splash to do a great PR move. Let's cut the crap and have someone that is not going to be affected by it, or that unfairly will be affected by it.
Yeah, so I'll say the downside for each one of these guys. We'll start with Shabbat, because I do understand the thought process and the fact that he's the longest serving senator and everything else we mentioned. He misses about 20 games a year. I don't love that for the captain.
That's not a personal knock on him, but it is a fact.
Not at all, but it's a fact. Tim Stützle. I don't know how much refs love him.
Yeah, and that is part of it too. And Giroux, I wonder how much refs love him, but he's always talking to them. He has rapport with all of them. When
you have as many games played with the NHL, I think that Giroux has a different relationship with the refs. But Tim Stützle, I think I like him when he's a little bit emotional and like gets going and gets fiery with the refs. And I think that might be best with an A on his jersey all the time.
And Ross, I want Timmy to focus on putting up points and being the best player he can be. I don't want him to have distractions of being a captain in Canada and everything that goes along with that. Not saying he couldn't handle it, and not saying he wouldn't be a good leader or a good choice. But for me, Ross, I'm actually the opposite. I think your best players, that shouldn't be an extra burden on them. Your superstars like that. We know what we need from him, and him being a leader of this team, we have other great options. That's not what I need from Tim Stützle.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Sanderson, I have trouble finding a reason to not name him captain. I just think, like, he's on the ice half the game. He's Lady Bing finalist. Like, clearly he gets a lot of respect from not only his peers, but the refs and everybody else in the league. And, like, I mean, he could be the captain for sure in my book. So I think if I had to pick today, Jake Sanderson would be my choice to be the captain of the team. But there's time between now and training camp. And also, like, think about video meetings. Who do you think Travis Green uses as a positive example the most? Probably James
Reimer.
Yeah. It's probably Jake
What do you
Sanderson.
think of this? Yeah, no, totally. But I'm Claude Giroux, similar. Like, that's not a guy that dogs it defensively. He's in his late 30s, and he's out there diving for loose pucks on the penalty kill.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know in the comments. How would you power rank as of today who the next captain of the Ottawa Senators should be? I almost said Erik Karlsson because that conversation is coming again. Bruce Garriock yesterday in a one-on-one with Callum Fraser over at the Ottawa Citizen saying that they had talks about bringing Carl in the last couple of years, and they didn't want to undermine Brady Tkachuk's leadership or maybe call out the BS of his leadership back then. But could that be revisited as Erik Karlsson heads into the final year of his contract? That's a conversation we'll save for tomorrow's Locked On Senators, along with a number of other trade targets that the Senators could be interested in with the 25th overall pick or other assets that don't include 9th overall. We're also going to get to our NHL draft rankings. We're going to do them individually outside of the daily show, so they will be YouTube only, but we will get you 3, 2, and 1 leading up to the NHL draft. For completeness sake, I don't think the Senators are going to take any of these guys, but to finish off the list strong. So we're going to leave that out of the show. Too much meat on the bone here as the Ottawa Senators have officially become the team to watch leading up to and including the NHL draft on Friday and Saturday. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
No, I've got all my thoughts out, Ross. I don't know about you, but my head is just spinning all day about obviously the Brady stuff. What are they going to do with these picks? Who's available? What do you need? Like I have trouble sleeping at night, staring at the ceiling, making all these crazy different scenarios. So you're going to hear all these throughout the week on the show. That's for sure.
I'm literally stressed out being an armchair GM right now. Like I can't imagine what it's like being in the Ottawa Senators war room with just assets and a hope, a need to improve on last year.
And what's going to be interesting, Ross, is who bangs the table the most between pro scouts, the amateur scouting. Like where do you decide, okay, this guy's worth getting rid of this pick? No, we think there's guys in this area that are worth more than what that guy can bring. Like, oh man, like it's got to be fascinating.
It sure is. We'll chat more tomorrow. For today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.